there, friends. Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library. And Gallie and I are here today to talk to you about a couple books that we think are absolutely fantastic. They are wonderful to read this time of year, or really any time of year. And I wanted to talk about both of them together because they have a very similar theme, a couple different themes that are actually very similar to each other. And I think that they're absolutely fantastic. So we are officially into spooky season, right? We're in the second week of October. We got Halloween this month. If you're a spooky season girl like me, you love everything about this time of year. Like, I love the changing leaves. I love wearing sweaters and hoodies again. I love being able to eat literally anything that is pumpkin or apple flavored, right? I just love all of it. But my favorite part is being able to read lots of really fun and spooky books. So there were two books I read in the beginning of spooky season that I thought were really perfect to talk about because, like I said, they have very similar themes to them. And I didn't really think about that when I was reading them kind of almost back to back until when I got through the second one. I was like, all right, these are really fun to talk about together. So the first book, well, first of all, the first theme I want to talk about is haunted houses, right? So haunted houses is the theme that links both of these books. It is, the story of a house that is haunted is a timeless sort of story, right? We see them in just so many classics books that we love, like, The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, and just all kinds of other books, and even books that aren't necessarily scary, like if you think of Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, where the house itself has just this brooding presence and is almost like its own character. There's just lots of really great stories out there about houses with their own personalities. So both of these books deal with haunted houses, but they also deal with family and the sort of haunting that a family can do as well. So I thought that was really interesting that both of them have to do with that as well. So the first book I want to read, or the first book I want to talk to you about, is A House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher. Now, I really, really love this author. I've read so many things that she's written. In particular, she seems to write a lot of really great, like, dark renditions of fairy tales. If you like fairy tale retellings, she just does a phenomenal job at them. This book really blew me away. I picked it up because I wanted to read it because it was by her, and like I said, I love everything that I've read by her so far. And this story in this is fantastic. It's very short. This is a really short book. It's barely over 200 pages. So if you're looking for something on the shorter side of things, this might be a great choice for you. And basically, it's about this woman named Sam who is coming to stay with her mother in North Carolina for a little while because she is working on her doctorate program. She works with insects in archaeological sites, which is a very, very specific thing, right? And she's decided to come and stay with her mom because the job she was supposed to be having, working on this one site in the area, it ended up getting canceled because they found living remains in there. So she is now working on her doctorate but doesn't have a day-to-day job. So she's like, you know what, I'll stay with mom for a little while. But she's a little bit uneasy about now staying with her mom because the house, her grandmother's house that they've stayed in before, they've lived in for ages, just isn't the same. And her mom isn't the same. So it starts out with, her mom is usually very cluttered and it's a very warm, open, chaotic home. Well, now everything is very sterile. Everything's painted white. There's this really crazy, portrait hanging up that has never been there before. And it just feels very weird. Her mom is really jumpy. She's very, rigid, and Sam just does not know what's going on because this is not like her mom. And then she finds a jar of teeth buried under a bush out back in the backyard. And there's all these vultures that keep hanging around the house that were never there before. So Sam has to try to figure out what is going on with her mom, what is going on with the house, and, what is causing all these things. So again, this deals a lot with family as well, because you're dealing with Sam and her mom, but also the legacy that Sam's grandmother left. But the thing I love the most about this book is the dialogue between the characters. A lot of times this author writes, like I said, some fairy tale type stories in a fantasy setting. And the fact that this was written in contemporary, realistic, aside from the spooky stuff, right? it was great to be able to read how well she does dialogue between, you know, modern contemporary people. Like Sam was super hilarious. I loved her. I wanted to be her best friend. I thought she was such a great character. The fact that she was so fleshed out and real and flawed and just great in this little amount of pages was just such a testament, I think, to this author's writing. Absolutely fantastic. Great little slice of a book. Definitely spooky stuff in here. Fantastic. All right, the next book I want to talk about is another book by an author that I really, really like. I've read a lot of their previous work and enjoyed it so much. How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. Grady Hendrix has written a lot of fantastic books. Most notably, the one that I really like best is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Killing Vampires. Love, love, love that book so much. This one is definitely longer than that. And it also deals with the overarching theme of not just a haunted house, but family. Right? So this starts off with the main character she has just found out her parents have died. They've both died. So now she has to go back to her hometown to deal with selling the house that, you know, they lived in, that she grew up in, basically. And she doesn't want to do that for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, she has a daughter. She doesn't want to leave the daughter with her ex to go and take care of these things. She also doesn't want to have to deal with the fact that her parents are dead, right? Like, it's a big trauma that is now all happening at once that she has to handle. But she also doesn't want to deal with her brother, because she's sort of estranged from her brother. Her brother never left the town. A little bit of a grifter, just kind of, you know, it just kind of exists. And she doesn't really want to deal with him either. But she's going to need his help to be able to sell this house. Because even though there are so many great memories and everything of this house, there's a lot to do. There's a lot to clean up. You know, if you've ever had to deal with, you know, somebody in your life dying that you've then had to take care of their possessions, it's a lot. It's a lot to have to deal with. But there are also some things that are a little bit weird about this, right? So her mom collected and made all these dolls and puppets and stuff. And there seems to be something weird going on with a couple of the puppets, to the point where it feels like they do not want Louise to sell this house. In fact, they do not want Louise to even leave the house at all. This book, and it's sort of like a characteristic of Grady Hendrix's work, where he'll take it as something that you think could be funny, and there are funny moments in it, and just make it so spooky and will freak you out. This book was so great. The writing in it was absolutely fantastic. I think that the previous book I mentioned by him, the Southern Book Club's Guide to Vampire Hunting, is still my favorite of his, but this is a very close second, because I really love the way it was written. I loved the fact of her dealing with, you know, the memory of her parents, and dealing with this house, and also dealing with these puppets and these dolls that may or may not be causing a lot of chaotic harm in this house. And, you know, when you think of it like, oh, okay, this book is about like dolls and puppets in a house, like, that does not sound scary. It is. It is very scary. Grady Hendrix can take pretty much anything and make it very freaky and scary, and he does a great job with this in this book. If you like to be spooked out, if you like to be scared, if you love haunted house stories, this is a really wonderful book to read this time of year, or really any time of year, but in particular, this time of year, fantastic. How to Sell a Haunted House. Well, those are what we've got for you guys today. I hope that they sound really interesting and exciting, and that they might be something you want to try this spooky season, right? Like this October. And like I said, they're really great to read anytime, so you don't have to read them right now. But they are absolutely fantastic. And they are both available at Farmington Community Library, so please feel free to check them out. And also, thank you so much for watching, friends, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day.